Hello guys, my name's Lawrence and today I'm going to show you how I edit this photo. This is a photo I took a few months ago, and out of the shots that I took of my friend Tony, this is my favorite shot because it gives a sense of calm and just chill vibe around it, Plus, the subject is looking away, which is sort of mysterious, and I like those kind of photos. What is interesting about the edit today is my first gut reaction when I actually looked at this picture is, wow, it already looks good. I don't think I need to edit this. But part of me also thinks about, wait a minute, I love editing. How can I not edit this, right? So now I'm gonna see if I could edit this in a way that looks better than the original, which is this, and not actually make it worse. And I'll let you be the judge, so do tell me at the end of the video which one you like better, whether it's the edited one or the original one. So notice here on the right hand side that everything is set to the default without any edit, except for the exposure. I've set it to 0.75 just because I took it in RAW, so things are a bit darker originally. So just putting it back on 0.75 initially. Let's start from there. And now I want to first play around with temperature. Here we can make the temperature of the image a bit more cold or a bit warmer. Kind of hard to decide. Like, I tend to choose somewhere in the middle. So if you double click temperature, it resets you back to the temperature. And when I shot this photo, I've set the camera to auto white balance. So this is pretty much what the camera decided what the balance temperature should be. But just to play things around, just because this is outdoors, I'm slightly preferring more of a warmer temperature. Now, good. Increase that temperature. Now, as for tint, it does have that different vibe about it, giving it purple, slight purple, or slight green, but I'm not sure I'm gonna go for that right now. Oh, green is kind of cool actually. It gives that sort of a movie look. Maybe we'll get back there. Now let's adjust the highlights. Here I'm sliding it to the right and to the left just to see what difference it makes. And pushing up the highlights here to the right just sort of makes the background here cleaner. So now I'm deciding which one I like better. I feel like I just want to go for a simplicity, so I'm gonna blow up the highlights to the max there. Just go for plain look. Plain is not the right word, but more of simplicity. Yeah, I think that's what I meant. As for shadows, let's reset it again. I think I just want to even things out because in the beginning, it has more of a shadow at the bottom. So I will just make all the shadows the same from top to bottom. Cool. Now that's looking better. And now let's move on to the whites. I always have a hard time explaining what whites is, but you can see from the pictures how the white section of the picture is blowing up. And to me, I'm just not a big fan of that because things just look overexposed, right? So I tend to just reduce the whites a little bit to give it more of a smoother, sort of a smoother transition between these elements in the picture. As for blacks, I like more blacks. So I'm gonna decrease it. Yeah, it's strange. With the slider, the more it goes negative, the more blacks you're gonna have. And the reason why I like blacks is it just gives that more punch to that picture. But I don't want to give too much of it. So I feel like this is a good place to be. As for presence, let's try to edit the texture. Now, I don't want to make this too soft. The more I slide it to the left, the softer it looks. I think that has a time and place, and this is not the time for it. Although I do want to make the subject pop a little bit more, so increasing the texture slightly helps that a little bit. As you can see as you zoom in a little bit, hang on. So let's change this to 1.4. Yeah, so we could zoom in a little bit. And you can see there, comparing the texture with a 0 and a 22. Notice how the subject is more separated from the background, right? So I like to increase that a little bit for that reason. As for clarity, now this one, notice how things look unnatural. And some people, don't get me wrong, some people like that effect, so there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not the look I'm going for. I'm looking more of a natural look in this photo. So let's adjust the haze now. And the haze is, let's see what it does. Here it's making things a lot darker, and this is more like washed out. So I don't think I really need to adjust that right now. And as for vibrance, this makes the colors pop a little more. So I want to adjust it to a place where things still look natural, but it makes a good difference. And I think around 30 is a good place. Notice how I double click it just to quickly compare how it looks, how it compares to the original. Now good. Now let us compare to a reference photo. Here's what we have so far. And let us get back to it later. Right now, as I compare, part of me is still kind of leaning towards the left one, the original photo. So let's get back and see. Let's see where we arrive at the end. So let's adjust the S-curve, the tone curve, which is just to give it a little bit more contrast. And by the S-curve, we adjust the high point in here, the mid-tone in the middle, and the low tone, I think, just to trim it down, and then the shadows to sort of lift it up. So yeah, basically making it around the shape of an S. Now, this is to reduce the highlights a little bit. So there's a button here to turn it on and off, just to compare. I think I might have overdone it a little bit. Okay, let's reset this. You double click on each of the point to reset everything. Okay, this one, let's drag it there. Now we're back to normal. So let's hit these points again. And the shadows first. Let's make the blacks not too black. Notice the shadow, the black here, softened up a little bit. And then as for the highlights, oh, let's not add a point there. I think I accidentally added a point there. Yikes. So here we go. That is looking nice. It's making the whites not too bright. And as for this, yeah, just making the thing brighter again. And I'm just going for like a brighter mid-tone, which is the color of the skin. And then as for this, should we lower it? As for the blacks, I'm torn here. I think I'm gonna go with slight dark. So let's lift up the shadows once more, and let's adjust this. Yeah, if it's too dark, then things look unnatural, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Great. Okay, let's compare before, after, before, after, before, after. Not bad. I feel like it's kind of synergizing with each other a little bit more. Now, let's go adjust the noise, which is just to make the skin a little bit, this is a cheap way to make the skin just smoother. Perfect. And let's go back up a little bit more. And let us now add a little flair to our photo by either adjusting the HSL or doing split toning. And I am a fan of playing around with split toning. So let's go there first, because I feel like this is the place where you get the biggest bang for your buck. Let's add some color to the highlights and see what we could get there. And a nice thing about this is, I think a fair tip is not to, it really depends on the look you're going for, but I tend to not add too much. So as you can see in this highlights, as I go up, the stronger the intensity of the color is. And I like it somewhere pretty low where it's subtle. And if you bring it down to the bottom, then it goes back to normal. So let's stay around here. I like to keep it up at first, a little higher, just to see what kind of effect it's doing, and then lower it a little bit later. Now, I'm still doing the searching. Somehow I'm really liking this sort of turquoise color. I know this is not what I initially planned for, because I already increased the temperature, but now how about we increase the temperature further? Now things are looking pretty odd, right? So let's bring the temperature back down once again, around there. Yeah. And now let's go back to split toning and adjust the shadows. What can we do with the shadows? Let's choose a color. This is definitely giving it a very different look than what I had originally thought of. This is getting interesting. How about, there are a lot of good options here. So I'm just sort of, yeah, I'm just sort of scanning around. Obviously with the red, it's sort of a different look, but I feel like it's giving the photo sort of a less masculine look with the red, so I don't want to go for that. Definitely somewhere here is, I think somewhere here around the blues look pretty good. Now let's compare before and after. Before and after. Honestly, when I compare that, I feel like now I'm mixing too much. I don't even need anything. It already looked good without adding anything to the shadows. Just making the green sort of the primary highlight, primary finishing touch, right? So let's look at that. And yeah, I'm liking this. Now, I feel like the yellow here, originally, it's part of the background, is sort of getting washed out. So I want to bring that out a little bit more because I like the yellow. So let's add some saturation to the yellow. Perfect. And how about luminance? That works as well. And now I'm just trying to figure out whether I want it to be more of a orange or more of the green. And sometimes I just had to reset everything because now I feel like all of a sudden things look so different from this one. This one I'm liking. From the picture though, these greens are sort of overpowering the other colors, so I'm gonna slightly dial down the saturation of that green. And okay, now things are more even. Cool, cool. Nice. How's that? Now let's go back to the highlight. More of that green. Where is that sort of green tone? So around this. Yes. Let's look for it. Let's look for it. Yeah, sort of here. Yeah. Now that we have this, I think this is now a good base to sort of use as our main image, right? And now we can just do a little bit more of the polish, sort of like basically clearing out some blemish. So let's quickly do that. I'm not going to do as much because I want it to be more of a fair comparison, right? So yeah, just quick ones. Okay, and that's really it. Not a lot. And I think the nose there is a little red because it's shot during February. It was a little cold, and I could edit that later, but I want to do now a final comparison of the edited photo versus the original. Now, what do you think? I am having a hard time deciding. I'm sort of liking this new vibe, honestly. So I would say I would choose this photo over this just to give it a new look. My philosophy is during edits is that what people want to see is not something you'd see every day. People want to see on Instagram something they have never seen before. So with this edit, what I'm shooting for is to give people that, to give people something new. So I'm gonna stick with this edit, but please let me know your honest opinion on which photo you prefer better, the edited one or the original unedited. Cool, let me know, and thanks for watching. If you want to see more of these, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.